3 a.m. That's when most people are sleeping. That's when the world is quiet. That's when secrets come to light. My phone was dark. My house was dark. My husband was asleep next to me. Everything was normal. And then his phone buzzed. Just once, a single vibration on the nightstand. Without thinking, without any reason to suspect anything, I reached over and I answered it. A woman's voice said something I'll never forget. "Hi, is this my husband? I've been trying to reach him all night." My blood stopped. The room started spinning. In that single moment, I realized my entire marriage was a lie. This is my story. My name is Zara. For 6 years, I was married to David, or at least I thought I was married to David. We had the life everyone wanted. David was successful, I was successful. We had a beautiful home in a nice neighborhood. We traveled, we went to nice restaurants, we had couple friends. We had the picture-perfect marriage. David was attentive. David would leave me little notes before work. David would call me during lunch to check in. David would tell me he loved me before bed every single night. I felt safe with David. I felt chosen. I felt like David's priority. I was so wrong. Looking back, there were signs. Not huge, glaring signs, just small things that didn't quite add up. David would stay late at work more and more. David said it was a big project. David said it was demanding. I believed David because I had no reason not to. David's phone became off limits. David would get anxious if I touched it. David would check it constantly. But David said it was just work emails, work stress, work problems. David would take calls in the other room. David would lower his voice. David would say it was a client, a colleague, a boss. And me? I was busy with my own career. I was busy with my own life. I was busy trusting David. I didn't ask questions. I didn't push. I didn't follow my instinct. I pushed my instinct down because I didn't want to be the jealous wife. I didn't want to be the paranoid wife. I was everything except the curious wife. About a month before the 3 a.m. phone call, I was having coffee with my best friend Keisha. I found myself telling Keisha about the patterns: David working late, David's phone anxiety, David's strange schedule, David taking calls at odd hours. "Zara," Keisha said carefully, "does David have a mistress?" I remember laughing. I actually laughed. "No, Keisha, David is just stressed with work." But inside, something was stirring. Something was whispering that things weren't right. Keisha didn't push it. She just said, "I hope I'm wrong, but you know David better than I do." I knew Keisha wasn't wrong. I just didn't want to know what that meant. So I ignored it. I rationalized it. I convinced myself that everything was fine. I was so good at lying to myself. It was a Tuesday night, or technically Wednesday at 3 a.m. David was asleep next to me. I was asleep too, but not deeply. Something was keeping me half awake. Anxiety, instinct, maybe my subconscious trying to tell me something my conscious mind wasn't ready to hear. The buzz was small, just one vibration on the nightstand. In that moment of being half asleep, I wasn't thinking, I wasn't suspicious. I just reached over, grabbed the phone, and answered it like I'd done 1,000 times for my own work calls. I said, "Hello?" And a woman's voice answered. "Hi? Yes, is this my husband? I've been trying to reach him all night. We have an appointment tomorrow morning and I need to confirm the time." The world stopped. I didn't know what to say. I couldn't breathe. "I'm sorry," the woman said, confused by my silence. "Who is this?" I hung up. I just hung up. I sat there in the dark, holding that phone, trying to understand what I just heard. I've been trying to reach him all night. We have an appointment tomorrow morning. My husband. The words kept repeating in my head. My husband wasn't just working late. My husband wasn't stressed with a project. My husband had a second life, a second relationship, a second wife. David was asleep beside me, completely unaware that his double life had just been exposed by a 3 a.m. phone call. I didn't wake him up. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I got out of bed, walked to the guest room, and I sat in the dark with that phone in my hand, trying to process what this meant. My marriage wasn't just broken. My marriage was a complete fiction, and I had no idea what to do with that information. But I knew one thing. I had to find out the truth, all of it, and I couldn't let David know that I knew. I didn't sleep that night. I spent it doing what I should have done months earlier, investigating. I looked at David's credit card statements. There was a second apartment. A second apartment David was paying for in a different neighborhood. Rent, utilities, furniture purchases. I looked at David's phone records. There were hundreds of calls to a number I didn't recognize, hundreds of texts, a second line that David had hidden. I went through David's email. There was a second Gmail account. David was living a complete double life with someone named Maya. David had photos with Maya. David had plans with Maya. David had a whole relationship with Maya that was completely separate from me. And then I realized David wasn't just cheating. David had married Maya too. David had told Maya he was single. David had created an entire parallel existence where he was a devoted husband to two different women. I felt sick. I felt violated. I felt like the last 6 years of my life had been stolen from me. But I didn't panic. I got strategic. I called Keisha the next morning. I told Keisha everything. And instead of judgment, Keisha got angry. Keisha got protective. Keisha got strategic. Together, we called Maya. I explained to Maya, calmly and clearly, that David had married both of us. I told Maya about me. I told Maya about our 6-year marriage. I told Maya about David's lies. Maya didn't believe me at first, but when I sent Maya the evidence, the marriage certificate, the photos, the apartment lease with David's name on it, Maya understood. Maya called David in a panic. David knew he was caught. I had already called a divorce attorney. I had already documented everything. I had already made copies of all the evidence. David didn't know what hit him. When David realized I knew everything, David tried to beg. David tried to cry. David tried to convince me it was a mistake, a moment of weakness, a temporary insanity. I listened to David, and then I spoke. David, you didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. Every single day for months, you made the choice to lie to me. You made the choice to marry another woman. You made the choice to live a double life. David tried to interrupt. I didn't let David. David took my trust. David took my time. David took my dignity. And David did it deliberately. I looked David directly in the eye. I don't hate you anymore, David. I just don't respect you. And I'll spend the rest of my life grateful that a phone call at 3 a.m. showed me the truth before I wasted any more time on you. I stood up and walked out. David called after me. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. What happened next was beautiful in its own way. Maya and I became allies. We became friends. We became sisters in the same betrayal. Together, we built a case against David that was legally devastating. David lost his job when his employer found out about the fraud and deception involved in maintaining 2 marriages while working in a position of trust. David lost both marriages within weeks of each other. David lost respect. David lost everything he'd tried to build through deception. And Maya and I, we healed together. We laughed together. We talked about how David had stolen time from both of us, and we decided together that we would never give David that power again. We moved forward. We rebuilt. We became stronger than we'd ever been. A year later, I was sitting in a coffee shop alone, and I realized I was happy, genuinely happy. Not because David was gone, but because I had chosen myself. That 3 a.m. phone call was the worst moment of my life, but it was also the moment everything changed. I didn't let David's deception destroy me. I let it define me as someone stronger, smarter, more aware. Someone who would never ignore red flags again. Someone who would trust her instincts. I learned that sometimes the universe gives us wake-up calls at the exact moment we need them. 3 a.m. phone calls, overheard conversations, pieces of evidence that lead us to truth. I learned that betrayal doesn't have to break you. Betrayal can rebuild you into someone unbreakable. I'm not grateful for what David did, but I'm grateful for who I became because of it. That's the real victory. My story isn't about what David did to me. It's about what I did for myself when everything fell apart. And that's a story worth telling. Because somewhere, someone is getting a phone call at 3 a.m. right now. Someone is about to discover a truth that will shatter their world. And I want them to know, you will survive this. You will rebuild this. You will become stronger than you ever thought possible. Trust yourself. Always.